5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It's July 18th and welcome to another episode of THEPAD, PatrickMoon.net's video game podcast. I am the host for this evening, Ben, and I'm joined by Cash.
Hello, good morning, Evie,
and Matthew.
It feels like morning to me.
That's what happens when you have your cat
I had exactly. I just woke up, so
So how are you guys doing? Other than catnapping away the evenings, how are you both doing?
It's the old age. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, life is still life. Get away, work, and cramming in some gaming in between the empty spaces as much as I can.
Just to fill the void inside
Absolutely.
you as well as in your schedule.
Maintain that balance of depression and small signs of happiness.
Yeah. I can't tell what games brings me sometimes, whether it's sometimes I will be playing things, especially like multiplayer things, and I'm thinking, I'm not even enjoying this, I'm just getting angry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've probably got a news story about that later on, actually. How about you, Maddie? What have you been up to? I think you've had a good week, haven't you? You've been off work.
You've had a week off from this. You should feel really good. You should be leading this, I think.
Had a week off work, what? Did I?
Have you not been...
No, I've been at work. I was at work yesterday as well. I've just been off today.
Sorry.
But no, I've had a good week anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Because of the hours I work with my job, like the hours that I'm awake, like it's always dark and you can't really go anywhere and do anything. So I'm finding that with this job, video games kind of fit in a weird way. Where there's nothing else to do.
Assassin's Creed hammer through.
Well, I mean, that's a second job, isn't it? So,
there's no joy in it either. It's the type of job, it's like a 0 hours contract. You just got to do it to make money as and when you can.
Oh, God. How many hours are you in now?
I was looking at the timer before, and the timer doesn't include like pause screens and stuff. And I'm up to 95 hours. So
fuck off. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Which I thought it was more, to be fair, but it's just because it's like...
It just feels like it.
It's it's good, but it's like it's just a bit mundane as well, repeating the same kind of things over and over again, and it's yeah.
I mean, you got that podcast for this.
There you go. Yeah, this is where you can vent all that frustration, all that basicness.
Yeah, I'm still nowhere near the end, so it's just.
Are you picking up that Atlantis DLC that I've seen bandied around?
No, and I'll say it again. I don't understand what the fuck the point of DLC is for a game like this, because like, if you're that much a fan of the game,
you're not hardcore enough. There are people who completed this in like 2 days, and they want more.
They skipped all the side quests and just used microtransactions. I mean, like if you love the game that much, you're going to do all the side stuff and the side quests, because some of the stories are really good in the side quests.
I've heard there might be some of the best bits actually.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of it's one of the big improvements over Origins, but like there's so much to play in that game that I can't imagine thinking, mint, I'm going to spend more money on more of it, unless like Assassin's Creed is your only game.
I mean, how far from the end do you think you are?
I don't know. I've got I'll tell you what. While I'm sitting here, I can bring up in the background while I'm talking to you my world map. Because I've always got Assassin's Creed Odyssey within 2 seconds.
I mean, is your monitor wide enough to display the whole thing? I keep it huge, man.
Double ultra wide.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. Because like the thing is, every time I go to a new island, I'm like doing everything on that island before progress. So I have no idea how far I am. Let's have a look. Let's zoom out here.
And on this part of the YouTube video, Ben will bring up the world map so you can enjoy.
Oh God, I'm maybe pushing towards not even 2/3 through, and that's just the world map, not even the story.
Jesus. And I've heard to get to the end of the full story, you have to do a lot of the side stories as well because they all kind of converge on the ending.
Yeah, I heard that, but that's no problem because I'm literally doing everything like an idiot. So, but yeah.
I can't wait for you to finish it actually because I I know what happens at the end of that game because I knew I was never going to play it, and I was listening to a podcast from them where they were just like, it's so fucking ridiculous.
Well,
So
I mean, I obviously don't spoil anything for us, but I
no,
will say there was
I'm not going to. I just
the
I
stuff.
want you to finish it so we can have a little bit of a chat around it.
Well, what I can see right now, and again, without chatting about the ending or anything, is that Assassin's Creed, like the self-contained stories set on in the locations, are really good. The side quests and all that kind of stuff. It's the second where they either pull out to the so-called real world where they've got like all that bullshit, and it's like, who gives a fuck? Like, you can just skip past that stuff, and I do. Or then, like, I just had a quest recently where it's like, oh, by the way, he is like Atlantis, and he is like, actually, you were meant to be, since birth, you were meant to be the main person. It's like, just fuck off. Like, just make a game
I found that with the other
contained
games
within
as well. I
that
remember
world.
2, 3, especially like Black Flag. It was almost like an
They can't
afterthought,
help
but
themselves.
then the main kind of story, or the underlining, the foundation of it all is supposed to be like the modern time, and you think they just
Yeah.
make it so much more stronger. And yeah, it's just not.
The weird thing is they've been pushing that stuff more and more out of the game as the series has gone on, but they still got it in, and it's like, are they contractually obliged to have to include it?
I think
Like,
there's probably, again, I'm being so pedantic here, but I think it's the casual audience use that as like their hook into it to like it's like the thing where like Modern Warfare was the Call of Duty that took off. As much as it was the better Call of Duty for a lot of years, it grabbed a lot of people's attention because it was a modern contemporary setting. Like
yeah.
the general public need like a lot of people need that kind of relatable hook. Not a lot of people can get away with like historical context alone or
Well,
fantasy
you know what they
context or
should
science
do?
fiction context.
They should release 2 versions of the game. One, like the filthy casual peasant edition, and then one, the actual game, you know?
Not
And
even
then we can
resigned to
just...
difficulties. No, you get your own fucking game. Fuck you.
I mean, it's weird because, like you say, Cash, between 1 and 3 and all the games that fit between that period, the Desmond trilogy, even though there's like 5 or 6 games in that, they obviously had a plan for it, at least initially, before Assassin's Creed got like morphed into this annual cash cow. And it fell flat ultimately.
I think after 3 is when it started to go really downhill. Like 1 and 2, you could think, okay, there's a narrative, it's leading to somewhere. And then 3, for the most part, was. And then it got to the ending, and you just think, why? Fucking why? And I don't think it's, for me, at least the ones I've played, it hasn't ever really recovered.
No, I mean, the gameplay is really good in the new ones, but anytime they try and hawk on the greater storyline, it's just, no, just don't do it. But that's the problem they've got.
And yet you're still going to keep playing. That's dedication, mate.
Yeah, actually, to be fair, I want to know what happens with the series going forward, because you've had 2 games year after year where the 2 games have been very similar in terms of how they play. So I'm hoping the next Assassin's Creed will not be so soon.
This reminds me of like a really terrible TV series that you just invested too much time in, but at the same time you don't want to see it through to the end. Like I remember watching Dexter post season 4, it was just horrible. But I thought, I've just invested this much hours and everything into it. I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna see out to the end, and it was absolute torture.
I got to the end of season 5 and it was a hell of a step down, but I liked Edward James almost and Colin Hanks enough to get through that season. But like probably a bit like Assassin's Creed, the storyline for that season was all right, but that overarching kind of like the life of Dexter string through all the seasons was shit at that point. The whole fucking sister incesty storyline that started to come out.
Yeah,
And that's a
exactly.
shame because season 4 of Dexter is one of the best bits of TV I've
Shows.
seen.
I whenever I talk to people, I refuse to acknowledge post season 4. I'm just like, yeah, all 4 seasons of Dexter were great. I said, oh, have you not watched the later ones? I don't know what you're talking about. They were fan made. I don't know what the fuck you're talking
It
about.
finished on an ambiguous bleak
Ending, yeah,
note.
perfect, absolutely perfect. You don't need to know what happened.
You don't want to know what happened.
Yeah.
Fucking lumberjack sentinel. Yeah. So I'm assuming, right, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is still your main squeeze at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I've got other games I want to play, but obviously I'm not going to touch them until I get past this.
You want to play them, but it won't let you.
Yeah, it won't let me. Other than playing Apex Legends, that time with yous, with the both of yous.
Yeah, I
we
enjoyed
need
that
to
actually.
reorganize that, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good fun.
It was really good. Season 2 is really good, and I enjoyed playing with you guys. It felt like we were of a reasonably similar level of skill.
Yeah.
I mean, it meant like we never won a match, but we were kind of placing top 5 fairly consistently, and I was enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. As long as we're not, sub top 10 all
I
the
don't
time, and
even mind going out.
and we were all getting kills and stuff as well.
Well, I was getting lots of damage and no fucking kills. I think, Matty, you were getting like 10 damage and a kill for every point of damage or something.
I'm just
Your
fucking
kill
shit
stealing.
hot with the accuracy. That's all that is.
Yeah, might just
Oh.
wait till you whittle down their armor and health. And like, right, I'll take my shot now. He's reloading. Fuck that.
Minutes for the glory, lads. That's it. Yeah. So, how about you, Cash? What have you been up to and been playing?
So, I have mainly been playing Division 2. Been playing a lot on it. My friend has actually been playing a lot with me, which is great. And that's kind of been egging me to do a lot more. I think that's what's made it. And he said himself, playing with someone kind of makes that difference. He'd kind of picked up for about an hour and a half before. I never picked it up again, but now that we're playing on it, almost every night, I'm like, "Do you want to come on for a bit?" Or he'd be saying to me, "Yeah, what time are you free? We're gonna come on for a bit." So, be playing it, and it's enjoyable, and I like the layout of the game, and I like the structure. I seem to find myself doing all the side stuff in every little area rather than going to the next immediate area when I hit that kind of level. So,
Yeah.
when I seem to be going and to certain areas and hitting the certain story missions, I'm kind of 3-4 levels above. Which is it's fine. It just shows that I'm kind of enjoying. I'm doing all the side stuff. I'm liking the way that they've kind of put out with the control points and kind of the randomly generized events with kind of hostages and propaganda missions that you come in and do. So yeah, it's good, and it plays quite well on my PC. And my PC isn't fantastic, but I like the way it looks on the PC. Yeah, it's taken up a lot of my time. I think the only thing I've been playing is a bit of Ghost Recon as well. Haven't taken it online yet. I think that's probably what's letting me down. That's kind of where I've probably moved into Division. But I suppose if I take that online, I'd probably take a chunk of that time. I take a lot of my time as I would with Division. So yeah,
Division
2 very big Ubisoft games and 3 with Matty as well. They seem to be getting a lot out of the past week. This is great if you're on the board of executive.
I mean, to be honest, it sounds like you feel like the Division similar to how I feel about it, in that it's really fun with friends. I find it a difficult game to play by myself. It feels like a game that is not built for a single player. You get overwhelmed. Enemies are very aggressive.
Yeah.
It's not very forgiving on respawns and things like that.
Oh, it's
Without
horrible.
friends,
Some of the side stuff, like trying to think of one. I think the ones where you get care packages come down, you have to kind of claim the 3 care packages. I haven't done one of those yet. I just seem to get swarmed
yeah,
unnecessarily, and they just there's no kind of sense as to where they're coming from.
it feels
Uh,
like I always felt with when playing the Division, when you're in cover and you're like fighting cover to cover and you're kind of creating lines and fighting along those lines, you're very tough to kill. Soon as you're out of position, you
oh
are
my god,
fucking
yeah.
dead.
Everyone's just got fucking aimbot straight in your head, man. It's ridiculous. I remember coming out of cover many times just thinking, oh hey, it's good. We can go and finish off like the last guy. Or we can go pick up some loot. And then there'll be one guy you completely missed, and he's just pumped everything into you. It's like, how the hell have I just lost all my armor? And now there's, oh yeah, 3 more guys come out of nowhere, and they're just going to finish me off. I do like the covering system, but holy moly, you come out of there, it's game over virtually.
Yeah. No, it's definitely it's a really fun game to play. It's a really competent game. It's really fun with friends. It's got a few rough edges as a single player game, but that's not what it is by the sounds of it. I don't know how you felt. I think we said this last week. I also found it incredibly disposable. Once I stopped playing, I'm like, okay, that's the last time I'm thinking about it till I next boot it up. I'm not like sitting there thinking about it like I do with a lot of other games.
Yeah, it hasn't gripped me. Like I'm not at work looking at the wiki or the lore or looking up tactics and the YouTube videos or anything like that. But I think the closest thing is if my friend logs off, I'll play on for like maybe another half an hour to an hour afterwards, just to kind of do a little bit of one of the extra things. I thought, oh, could have done this. I'll just go and quickly do it. But then I turn it off, and then that's it until one of us messages each other again. I won't think about it ever again.
Yeah. And I've probably dropped off it now. I haven't played it for weeks, if not months at this point. But it wasn't a game that I kind of was like, oh fuck this, I'm bored. I just kind of gradually phased out of it.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. I'm sure we'll hit that wall eventually. We come to a point where we need to do the raids,
Have
can't get the groups and
you
stuff.
finished the campaign?
No, I'm about halfway, I guess.
See, the game doesn't really start until you finish the campaign.
Yeah, I remember you saying last week. So we kind of, I don't want to say plow through the story missions, but every time I get a story mission and I'm around that level, I'll go and do it. And I
That's not a
think the
bad
size,
idea, because the side stuff stays there and you can just go back to it later. And
yeah,
you'll be doing it at end game level and end game gear mechanics, which are slightly different.
yeah,
So you're
okay.
not really doing yourself a disservice by just plowing through the story, keeping up with the level, like the level curve, and then going back and playing. Because the game it's a competent campaign, but it's a enjoyable end game. It's the game out of all these loot shooters that have come out recently in the last couple of years. It's the one that I can most easily compare to Diablo in terms of that feedback loop and gearing loop.
All right. Well, okay. That's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, it's definitely got that most like that nice kind of
Self-contained kind of,
treadmill.
yeah. Like you do a run, you get some gear, you trade some out, you craft some stuff. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Actually, we're back into Diablo a few months ago. I don't know why, but
it
I
keeps
started doing
flipping back
season
to
mode
that.
pretty damn hard actually. And I had a lot of fun with it.
It's great. I bought that game 5 times now.
Yeah, you got it on
Uh,
Switch, I remember you saying.
yeah, I got it on Switch. It's so good. Yeah, just being able to sit in the toilet and play and like play Diablo. It's amazing. It's just good. Like it's so good.
I didn't think I'd like season mode because I just think the idea of what's the fucking point of having a temporary character you start from one to the end. But holy
It's
shit,
kind
I don't know
of
how they've done it. It's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it's if you just hit it hard, it's because you're revisiting the game you obviously know very well. It just gives something a little extra incentive to like, oh well, I'll replay it again and I'll do the season and I'll focus on doing the seasonal achievements and it'll just give me something to do.
I think
Uh,
the seasonal achievements, the seasonal rewards, and you get kind of the gear as well. Each season,
mm,
it kind of changes between the classes. So I try and play the classes I don't normally play as. So I really love my barbarian. I really love my monk. So I'll try and play everything else just to see
um,
kind of different flavors of them. Like I played demon hunter, but I went as a melee demon hunter. Didn't have a crossbow or an arrow. I had a sword, and I was just throwing grenades at people and doing some incredible damage. And I was, this is crazy. This is like a completely different way of playing the game.
have you
That
played
game,
as
that game seems perfect for the Switch. Like the
Oh, it is. It works really well. The biggest complaint I've probably got is when it's docked, it is noticeably blurrier in terms of resolution than anything else I've
yeah.
played, and I've played it on a lot of other platforms. Um, but that is not a big deal because I'm 90% of the time I'm playing it portable and it looks fine.
It's kind of mindless enough to just like jump into, but portable
Oh yeah,
every now and
completely.
then.
That's what's good about Diablo. It's mindless enough just to just chip away at, but there's enough depth there to keep you playing for a long time in terms of gear, in terms of builds,
Yeah.
side quests, hidden areas, all that shit. Like I fucking love it. A lot of people seem to talk trash about Diablo 3. Um, especially because of its like state at release. A lot of people seem to think now, oh, Path of Exile is better, or there's a couple of other action RPGs, and Diablo seems to become like the poor relation. But I've not played these other ones a lot, and I'm not an action RPG expert, but I don't know, man. There's something about Diablo that really gets me going.
I think Path of Exile seems more like a
Old
successor
school.
to Diablo 2 with the aesthetic and the setting and things. I can definitely see why purists would prefer that over Diablo 3.
Yeah,
Diablo 3 is still my go-to out of the two.
maybe it's just because we're filthy casuals compared to those people. They need the skill
100%.
trees.
I've got a wife and kid, man. I'm 100% casual.
Have you been playing anything else?
Just that. Just those two, really. How about yourself?
So I have now finished the Shadowbringers main story quest. So
Oh,
I've
fucking
completed the
hell.
expansion pack
So
for Final
what's
Fantasy
what's the
14.
verdict then from start to finish?
It's the best 14 has ever been. It's probably the best Final Fantasy I've played since like the era of 7 and 8. It's definitely up there with it. It has it's kind of split into 3 acts. Like the first act is kind of getting to the new areas, find out what's going on, getting your party together, and all the rest of it. Then it's like the middle act's just going on this big adventure, and you kind of almost resolve the main plot in the middle act, and then there's this kind of secret third act that just
Like an epilogue, or just kind of like, oh shit, we didn't see that coming.
It's kind of like it takes a step back, and it's like, oh, well, you thought that was the big threat. Nah, there's this worst thing in the background that you didn't realize was even there. And now you're going into a proper Final Fantasy end boss with multiple phases and crazy apocalyptic abilities. And it's like, it's fucking nuts, man. Like the last battle in the expansion pack, it is a proper Final Fantasy boss. Like it's up there with like Ultimisia and Sephiroth, and it's just nuts. And in terms of the context of the story, it's pretty significant. It marks a fairly big event in the storyline. And what's quite good is like there's shit tons of dungeons. I'm going to say there's 9 dungeons, and that probably translates into about between 6 and 8 like traditional dungeons, with trash pulls and then bosses. And then there's like trials, which are effectively raid bosses, but you go in and there's just you and the raid boss in a room and you fight against them. There's no trash pulls or things like that.
Okay. Just
and-
like a boss rush, basically.
Kind of, yeah. And that's how Final Fantasy XIV generally handles raids. It kind of has done away with trash pulls. You go in and you fight a very complex multi-staged boss, and then you leave, and that's it.
Would it take normal time compared to like a normal raid dungeon with the trash pulls and the mini bosses?
Oh, I mean, if you like when I used to raid back in Warcraft on Wrath of Lich King, you would have to set aside like several nights for 3 hours at a time to get through like a 12 to 14 boss dungeon. The raids in Final Fantasy 14 they're kind of different. Like, so if you go in on the normal mode, you are probably going to be in there for like half an hour to an hour, depending on how many times you wipe, how difficult it is, all the rest of it. There's different difficulties though. So you have like hard mode, which is your just go in, do a reasonably difficult boss, but it's like story purposes, and you will get through it and see the storyline around that raid. Then there's extreme, which is okay, you need a reasonably competent group, you need to be reasonably geared. This is probably the real version of the fight. And then you've got savage, which is these are fucking hard versions. You need a proper guild that is dedicated to multiple attempts a week. I've never done savage content. I've gone as high as extreme for a few of the bosses, and that is enough when you're playing with randoms who do not know what they're doing on normal mode, let alone savage, let alone extreme.
Savage is just going to be the kind of people who just day in, day out live and breathe. Like you say, the kind of 40-man raids on old school WoW.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's not that. I mean, in Final Fantasy, a normal party is 4 people. A raid party, it's called a full party, is 8 people. And then you get something called an alliance raid, which is 25 people. And alliance raids are, funny enough, probably the easiest content. They are effectively big scale battles that are meant for more spectacle than challenge.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
I've seen more the dedication than the sheer numbers of people. I mean, even kind of when they reduced it from 40 to 20 or 25 in WoW, some of the dungeons were still pretty tough. You still need to know what the fuck you were doing, man. There was like no room for error. I mean, could have just have kind of one person sitting it out. Everyone had to be pulling their weight and things.
Yeah. So I mean, generally, yeah, Shadowbringers is I've enjoyed Final Fantasy 14 I've been playing for about 2.5 years. I've got about 400, probably about 500 now hours on it.
You got some work to do, man. You want to catch up to those numbers, rookie numbers, man.
I know, it's Assassin's Creed Odyssey's got nothing on this.
I'm not going to lie. There's been 1 or 2 occasions this past 2 weeks where I've just had a briefest bit of a maybe I should try Final Fantasy out, and then I've realised I don't want games that long. I just don't want. I don't want any more of it.
That's the thing. You can kind of dip in and out. You can take this seriously as you want. The rest of it, because as long as you're kind of at the forefront of that level curve, you can just play through the main story quest and enjoy the dungeons. Like,
yeah.
How
well does it run as a single player game? Not being weird.
I mean, basically, you can pretty much, like, other than the dungeons, you can play this all single player. Like, it's weird. It's the main story quest will often throw you into things called duties, which are effectively single player set piece dungeons. Like, a big story fight will be a duty, and a lot of time, me and my wife play together a lot, and we'll do the quests and stuff together. And a lot of the time, it'll be like, oh, we need to dissolve our party now because it's going to tell us to do a duty, and it won't let us in a party. So we'll both do it separately and then form a party afterwards. Shadowbringers has been formed a lot better. around main story quests and taking as many duties out as possible. So we've been able to play a lot more together. But Stormblood was notorious for duties. The last expansion pack, when that launched, one of the first missions in the game was a duty, and because there was thousands of people hitting this duty, the servers couldn't cope, and you couldn't start your duty because it couldn't generate your own instance.
Terrible planning, terrible.
Yeah. So that happened early on in Stormblood, and it happened again either later on in the campaign or in a patch. They didn't learn, but they have for Shadowbringers, so that's good. But yeah, it's weird. Like Final Fantasy 14 when it launched was a heap of shit, and it's slowly gotten better and better. And with Shadowbringers, it seems to almost be the game of the moment at the moment.
Everyone is saying good things about it. To be fair, it's gathering a lot of good momentum at the moment.
Any reviews, any scores, there's always high 9s and 10s and 100s, more 90s. So it's good. I'm glad there's another really good RPG, MMORPG out there.
It's excellent. I mean, I think I've probably put about 50 hours into Shadowbringers, and that just saw me through the main story quest. So it's it's a subscription-based MMO, but it's definitely bang for buck. And this week, the first patch dropped, which introduced the first tier of raids. So we've got a new raid called Eden. Apparently it draws. I haven't done it yet. I've done the quest to unlock out my ability to then log into queues to do it. But apparently it's got quite a lot of Final Fantasy VIII inspiration. So that's quite interesting. There's a lot of riffs on 8 in this one because you've got the Gunbreaker class, which is basically a tank that uses a gunblade. I did a dungeon, a level 80, like the new level caps 80, and one of the dungeons you can do that. The last boss is Quetzalcoatl, who is the thunder and lightning summon from 8, and he looked exactly as he does in 8. Yeah, I mean, like Final Fantasy 14 is basically just fan service to Final Fantasy stuff. Like the first boss in the game is Ifrit, the fire sign. I thought Shiva, Bahamut forms a huge part in the story. So like when the game came out, I say it was a heap of shit. When they were rebooting it, they baked into the story this world-ending event where Bahamut was summoned and basically destroyed the world. And when they relaunched Realm Reborn, it was basically the world recovering after Bahamut had destroyed everything.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. So it's good. It's really good. I'd really encourage if you've got any England, just try it. Shadowbringers is fantastic.
Great. There's a free trial, isn't there? I think
there is. You can sign up and play the game up to level 30, I think. But there's, like I mentioned before, you can play you can start the game as a I don't know what's a cleric, I think is a starting class. And you can level the cleric up to 30 and so, I want to try what a gladiator plays like. And then you just equip the gladiator weapon, and then you'll be a level 1 gladiator on that same character. Level gladiator up to 30 and go, I don't really like that. I want to try something else and become a pugilist, which is basically just somebody who punches shit. And like you can just try all the classes out up to level 30 and then see if you want to continue. And that'll give you access to like 3 or 4 dungeons as well, maybe 5 dungeons.
That's good.
So yeah, it's good. You can definitely hop in for very low cost of entry and try it out. So that's what I've mainly been playing. I've definitely fallen off the auto chess bandwagon at this point.
Fair enough. I haven't played it since we talked last week, so I would agree with you.
I think the reason mainly being is because I picked up Mario Maker 2 on the Switch.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. I played. I've created one level and published it, and it was just me fucking around. It's fine. It's not that interesting or good. It's just seeing if I could create a somewhat competent Mario level, and it was fine. It turned out all right. But I've been playing mainly just online. There's a campaign that basically is there to it's there to serve to give you inspiration on what you can do with the Maker.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fun. It's nice to play when I'm on the go and offline. There's a whole subsection where a pigeon in a Mario hat teaches you things. And it's basically just like PowerPoint presentations where the pigeon teaches you how to do certain things and basically teach you the basics and give you ideas. I've gone through a few of those. I'll probably have to spend a bit more time with that. But I've mainly been playing online, just trying different courses, trying different people's courses, and realizing I'm very bad at Mario. I am not very good at that game at all. So
I've seen some of the runs online with some of the kind of more famous YouTubers that pick really hard levels and go through. I think Video Game Donkey put video.
Yeah, he did. He did one, I think, just with Mario Maker last week or the week before. Now he's done the expert run, and I get the impression Donkey really likes his hard Mario because he did a lot of Odyssey videos when it was that hide the balloon, Luigi's
Yeah,
balloon rush or whatever it
remember
was.
See, I can't. I have to tip I tip my hat to people like that. I don't think that idea strikes me as something fun. It would just frustrate me, and I would probably break the console or the game. So I have to admire their dedication and the hours they put in, and I suppose there's that feeling of satisfaction afterwards as well.
Yeah, I mean, what's actually the most surprising thing about Mario Maker that I'm finding is, so you can play in different style levels. You've got Super Mario Brothers, which is obviously the original. You've got Super Mario 3, which is the
Yeah.
one with the raccoon tail. Super Mario World, which is probably like what I would consider the like go-to
It's
classic.
it's the best 2D Mario.
Yeah. And then you've got New Super Mario Brothers U, which is effectively Super Mario Brothers with a modern paint job. So they're all like basically you can create a level and change the skin on that level to suit any of those. Separately, you've got Super Mario 3D World as a separate thing, and you can build worlds in that template. But because it's got different mechanics, it's like say you build a world in Super Mario Brothers, and then you say, "Oh, I wonder what this looks like as Super Mario World 3D." The maker will just obliterate your level as you switch, and you'll have to start again. So you've got to really decide whether you want to do like a classic one in any of the
One
four
or the other,
skins,
yeah.
or one of the new ones. And I like Super Mario 3D World actually. It's effectively you're playing Mario from like the modern 3D Marios like Odyssey and Sunshine and things like that. So he's got a lot of the move set from those games, but on a 2D plane. It's a
Yeah,
weird mix.
it seems like a cool mix. I mean, they've got the cat costume, don't they, for that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, the best
And
part of it.
you can put it on Bowser and call them Meowser.
Yeah. By next time.
There's a lot of fucking weird shit you can do. Like you can really twist like the established Mario um status quo into some bizarre fucking things. It's good though. Like it's really fun. It's really chill. There's like you said before, Cash. There's loads of streamers and YouTubers just
Yeah.
putting out like, oh, look at my expert run. To be honest, you could have just as much enjoyment just saying, right, show me levels that are musical levels, and people have like programmed in musicals into you basically drop Mario into a maze and it bounces him through a musical.
Yeah, I remember
and stuff like
the
that.
last one, the original one. There was what's the fuck, a Rickroll basically. You just kind of run in, and it would just play you kind of the entire of Never Gonna Give You Up. I thought that was pretty sweet.
So I'm planning on doing a spotlight video for the channel there just to show it off. And to be honest, I kind of want to do a stream with it as well. Just go on there and either make a level live on stream or just play through things and see what's going on.
Yeah, sounds good.
I just try to find the time to do that. Busy at the moment. But yeah, I say I'm busy. I've just been playing Shadowbringers. So I'll try and do that. But yeah, I really recommend it if you've got any love for either Mario or just kind of 2D platforming.
Yeah, I'll get around to getting it when I get my my next Switch. Which,
I know you probably have a lot more affinity for classic Mario than I do, Maddie. So maybe me and you should get on stream together and go through some.
Yeah,
levels.
yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. Kind of beyond that, not a lot. I mentioned this before the show, but non-video game related. I went to see Midsummer, which is a horror film from the director of Hereditary, and I kind of just want to talk about it because I need to talk to somebody about it for a therapy session. It's it's made me feel more uncomfortable than anything I've ever watched or experienced in a long time.
Are we talking like Human Centipede levels of uncomfortable?
Oh, way worse than that. Because like Human Centipede was kind of just silly.
Yeah, I
like-
thought it was just kind of gimmicky and silly, especially like sequels that they released.
Oh yeah.
Just thought, really, how far can we push this narrative?
So to be honest, that's probably not a bad comparison. So like Human Centipede is so outrageous that it's daft rather than being scary. Midsummer's kind of the same in that, like, when you take a step back, you think this isn't really scary or horrific. It's just silly, but it pushes it so hard. It then rolls over from scary into silly into just this is insane and I'm losing my mind.
I need to
like
watch this.
when I came out, I felt drunk. Like I felt like
My God.
shit. Me and my friend John went to see it, and we just kind of every so often something would happen, and we just look at each other going, "Fucking hell!"
We
Like,
paid fucking money for this. I don't care if it's Meerkat 2 for 1. This is bullshit.
it was actually, yeah. Yeah, it's unreal. It's very Wicker Man. Like down to it's a group of Americans who go to like a pagan hippie enclave. They're all university students, all college kids in America. They have a friend from Sweden who's from a commune, and he basically invites them all to this kind of festival that happens once every 90 years. It's all set at the backdrop of the main character, this girl who has a lot of mental health issues, emotional baggage, family troubles, and her boyfriend, he's a real dick. He's on the verge of splitting up with her. He's kind of sick of having to support her and her being a bit of a burden to him. He's at an age, he's of an age where he wants to be chasing girls, not babysitting this damaged person. And he's about to split up with her when something
Wow.
happens that basically kind of guilt trips him into staying with her. And he's starting to organize to go to this festival with his friends, and because of everything that happens, he feels guilty enough to invite her along so she's not left behind. He doesn't really want to. In fact, he invites her and says to his friends, "Look, don't worry, guys. She's not going to come. She's not going to say yes." And then she does, to everybody's kind of horror. And they all go along with this festival, and it's all kind of hippy dippy. They're taking mushrooms and stuff, and they get there, and it's all pagan and like, oh, we're all a big community and we're all a happy family. And it just kind of starts unraveling slowly, and it's like, I had so many emotions. I was like, is this the girl losing her mind and like imagining this, or like is it that
So
kind
you
of
thought there
slant
might
on
be
it?
kind of a reason for all the weird wackiness. They just
Yeah,
took way too many mushrooms, and this is what's going on.
and like just with all her baggage and stuff, is she just having a bad trip that's like unraveling her? Is this a cult of like bad people doing bad things? Is there perhaps like, is this a red herring? Are the cultists? There are cult. I'm saying cultists are like hippie commune people. They're not quite as severe as cultists, at least not at first. Are they just generally quite nice people, and there's maybe a few bad elements or unusual elements within the cult that are doing something a little bit dodgy? There's loads of twists and turns, and it just goes nuts. And it's a slow moving film. It's like not much happens in it. This is not going to be for everybody. A lot of people would say this is boring as fuck, but I just felt uncomfortable and just like sweaty and like awkward through all of it, and it was horrible.
Man.
It
Yeah, I want to watch this.
it proper had a visceral effect on me. It was awful. So
seem
not
really
game related.
traumatized.
I mean, like it's slow as fuck. There's not much happens. But there's a reasonable amount of violence in it. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, my God, it's the most graphic stuff I've seen in years. Like horribly so. And anyone who's seen Hereditary, there's one bit in Hereditary that involves a beheading, and it just lingers on it for so long while there's so much other like noise and other shit going on in the background, and that made me feel uncomfortable. And I had that sensation all the way through Midsummer.
I
For about
think horror
2 hours
movies
of
are
the time.
horror movies are in a really good place at the minute. There seems to be quite a few that I need to
Yeah.
watch that I haven't got around to.
Well, Maddie, I'm not going to watch it with you. Not again. Like, me and John both came out and said, I don't know if I enjoyed that. I think I appreciate for what it was, but I never want to watch it again.
My God, you sound like a bad Tinder date.
Oh God, yeah. So I just wanted to get that out. So games have been my escape since. I've been chilling out with Mario, trying to get over it. Yeah, so I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Well, do you feel better now?
I don't think I do, because I've just been reliving it. Maybe it was a mistake. All right then. Okay then. So let's move on to some news. So last week we talked about the announcement of the Switch Lite. You weren't here, Maddie, so you missed out on that. But I think generally speaking, the Switch Lite, from me personally, I feel like I understand why they're making it. I don't think
Yeah,
it's for me.
yeah.
It seems to be very much like the 2DS in that they're removing a lot of the core features of that platform in order to make a more robust, cheaper version that will be good for
Yeah,
children.
it's to appeal to parents, isn't it? That's what it's for.
Yeah, it's a case of like, well, I bought my son a Switch, but now my daughter's old enough and I don't want to spend 300 quid again. I'll buy her a Switch Lite. She
Yeah,
doesn't want to play it on the TV. She just wants to play games. She wants to play Zelda and stuff like that. So it seems to be that kind of use case.
it makes sense.
Yeah, it's fine. And I've got a Switch and it's not going to affect me anyway because,
Who
it
gives a
is what
shit?
it is. But what might affect me, or what might give me pause for thought, is that Nintendo have actually announced this week that they're going to do a refresh on the original Switch. They are basically changing some of the innards, which will result in a revised Switch with a longer battery life.
Yeah, quite longer as well, isn't it? There's quite a big difference.
Yeah, so basically they've said it's coming out in late August, at least in Japan. The new model is just called the Nintendo Switch. So what I think is eventually it will phase out the one that I've got that
Yeah,
you guys have got. If you've got Switches, I think you did have, Maddie, if I'm right.
I did. I sold it.
Um, so like when you're playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, you can get about 5.5, 6 hours out of it, which isn't a huge amount of time for a game like Zelda, but fair enough. So let's have a look. The new model. Sorry. So sorry. What they're saying is, sorry, the new model named Nintendo Switch will boast anywhere between 4.5 to 9 hours battery life, depending on the game you're playing. Sorry, it will get 5.5 hours of Zelda.
Yep.
Now the 4.5 to 9 hours on the new model compares to the 2.5 to 6.5 hours on the original model, which I've got, which balances out about 3 hours for Zelda, which probably does match what I've experienced. So yeah, basically you get 2.5 hours extra on Zelda with this new model, which is
Yeah,
pretty
I think
good.
if you're doing portable gaming, I think that's a massive improvement.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's good. I
I
don't
think it
know.
makes sense as well, like you were saying, the Nintendo Switch, they didn't really need to have a Game Boy version. This was going to be the mobile console as well. So having something that improves the battery life is win-win for everybody involved, especially like having the light version as well.
Yeah, I think it's just strengthening the platform as a whole, really. Yeah, I don't know if as mentioned, it might give me pause for thought before. I don't know if it is going to be enough, like, to warrant me trading in my Switch and then getting a new version. Because I'll be honest,
No, no.
anytime that I've been traveling with my Switch, it's it's always been enough. And I feel that because batteries are universally a bit shit, most places that you will travel on will have some means of charging your Switch if you need to.
Yeah, even my bus does now. So
Well, yeah, buses have got USB and power points. Trains have got power points. The only time I was a bit worried about it was on the flight to Japan, and there was a USB slot and a power socket on the back of my chair that I could use. So I played my Switch effectively plugged into the wall all the way to Japan. And just as well, because I was playing Final Fantasy 12, and that thing just chews the fucking battery. You're talking about Zelda for 3 hours. I think that got about an hour and a half or 2 hours. It just fucking drinks it. It's nuts. So there's nothing so far about when it's coming outside of Japan or anything like that, but I assume these will eventually just kind of replace the old one
yeah,
and eventually
the only
become
difference
the
you can
norm.
see right now is the box is a little bit different, like tiny bit different.
Yeah,
I'm
but I
not
mean,
sure. We don't know for certain yet if there are going to be any slight improvements in terms of the inners. Whether it'll make any games get any slight performance improvements or whatnot. Akin to what the Xbox had with the Xbox One S. But
well, apparently the whole thing that makes this a bit more well, gives it a better battery is actually the battery's not changed. It's a
yeah,
revised version of the Tegra chip that powers it. It's effectively a new revision of that chip that's more energy efficient.
yeah.
Um,
Do you know? Well, I say, do you know? I know that you don't. But I wonder if they're gonna. And this is only something I've heard through articles and whatnot recently. But the drift problem on the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons
oh
seems to be
yeah,
getting a lot of news, a lot of traction recently.
yeah,
It
it does
seems
actually.
that everybody seems to be having problems with the Joy-Cons. Um,
I must admit,
and
mine does drift sometimes.
When you say
well,
drift,
so
you mean when you leave it idle, it just kind of moves on its own.
The stick
yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
it's almost like the stick's like 3 degrees off its axis, and and things will move on their own. Like I've had Mario walk off edges and stuff every so often.
So some people have done the research, and it's not to do with usage. It's like a design flaw that basically all Joy Cons will eventually go that way.
Gosh.
Now the thing, well, I mean, because I'm looking to buy a Switch in the near future, I kind of want to know for myself if I can get a version that doesn't have that problem. But the bigger thing for me is, imagine if this problem persists into the Switch Lite, where it's not Joy-Cons, you can't just buy a different Joy-Con. If they have this drift problem on the sticks on the Switch Lite, this could be massive.
Absolutely, yeah. You're stuck with what you've got, really.
Because I still find it crazy enough that people are buying a Switch, using it for about a year, having the drift problems, and then people going, "Oh, I'll just buy extra Joy-Cons at £80 a pop."
Yeah, they
for
are
a
not
pair.
cheap. I mean, I've got a spare pair,
Yeah,
and fuck me, I've probably
but
spent
it's
more
not
on extra
cheap.
controllers for the Switch than I have on the Switch at this point. Like,
And it's not cheap, and it's such a common problem that I mean, it's starting to gain more traction now, but this should be a much bigger issue than it is in terms of gaining attention. But it's Nintendo. It's a shame because Nintendo used to be by far the most reliable in the industry for hardware in terms of the form factor and longevity of their old systems and controllers. You'll never find a GameCube broken ever. It's never happened ever. Every GameCube in the history of man is 100% working.
I'm sure that's 100%.
But like it's ever since the Switch has come out, that reputation seems to be going a bit, which is a shame.
I mean, maybe it's the nature of the modular design. Like things are just less because everything's more bitty.
Maybe,
Maybe
but
it's
I
just
mean,
it shouldn't
one of
happen.
the
You're
other
right.
one of the other design problems is on the Switch Pro controller, which your mileage may vary in terms of how much you'll notice this, but on the D-pad, the way the D-pad is designed is it's the Switch Pro D-pad is designed so that it can quite easily go between, like, say, pressing up and diagonal. Even though you're pressing up, it can register that as being, diagonal left, diagonal right. So when
I've
you
used
play,
a Pro controller, but I've never noticed that. But
it's
Mario
yeah,
Maker is probably
it's
the only game I've used it extensively with.
right, yeah. Because when I had my Switch, I bought like an 8-bit do SNES whatever it's called. Basically, 8-bit do released a Super Nintendo controller for the Switch.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
And there was loads of great reviews, so I bought it, and I thought brilliant. But then when I played 2D games on it straight away, I noticed it because I do play a lot of 2D, especially Mario, so I'd notice it straight away. And
especially playing like fighting games and stuff where you need kind of
yes,
things. Then
yeah, and
absolutely.
I think was it Puyo Tetris? Apparently, that's where it's at its worst because obviously you're pressing down to bring the pieces down on the Tetris board, or left and right, and apparently it's borderline impossible with the D-pad on a Pro controller. So, yeah, I don't know. Nintendo need to sort this shit out in
I
terms of
mean, just
hardware.
talking about Nintendo hardware, they actually just released. Well, they've announced 2 new Joy-Con colors as well. You can get a blue and yellow version and the purple and orange.
Yeah, I've
I
seen
must
that.
admit, I quite like the purple and orange. I do
Yeah,
like
same
that.
here. Same here.
But again, it's 65 quid. Well, normally they're $80. I think they're about 65 quid in the UK normally.
The thing for me is I
But
don't really play. When I had my Switch, I always kept it docked. Same with if I get a Switch again, I'm not really going to play portable. So the drift problem for me isn't going to be that big because I'll just, what I'm thinking of doing is just buying a 8-bit do like a Bluetooth adapter where you can hook up the DualShock from the PlayStation 4 to the Switch, and it has like all the the functions like the vibration and the gyro ability as well.
okay, yeah.
But it's a shame that I'm having to look to a different console controller, to use on the Switch. But
Yeah, it's weird.
but whether or not this problem happens on the Switch Lite, that's going to be the bigger issue.
Yeah,
Because
and it makes you wonder: will it go slightly less noticed because I imagine again most people who are going to be picking up the Switch Lite are going to be children or people on the go. It's probably going to be less
Maybe.
of the committed community to these
Maybe,
topics.
but I think with the drift problem though, I think that affects. I mean, that's quite noticeable regardless of because it depends how bad it is. But I've seen it where you're just playing Mario Kart, you're pressing nothing, and you're pressing the drive button, and the character's moving by themselves.
Oh, that's just
But
Mario Kart. That's just regular Mario Kart bullshit. Just like fucking blue shells.
blue shells can never be fixed.
So speaking of the Switch, do you like monkeys?
It
At least
depends which monkeys we're talking about.
do you like balls with your monkeys?
Do I
Depends
love
which
my
kind of balls
balls?
we're talking about.
Well, there's been a new Super Monkey Ball announced for the Switch and PS4. This is a weird one. Now, I do not have any affinity with Super Monkey Ball. I think you might have played a few of them in the past, Matty.
Yeah, the first one in particular.
And I remember it's always had a bit of a niche audience. And sorry, Kat, I don't think you have either. You're a bit like me.
I think I played one in university, and it was very much a party game. Like we'd take kind of turns doing a particular course or a particular run, and people would treat it like a drinking game and stuff. And it was fun, but yeah, I never really played it beyond that.
So, yeah, this one's a bit of a weird one. So there's been a new Super Monkey Ball. It was teased originally for the Switch and PS4, and then it was officially announced it's Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD, and it appears to be a remake of
A
a
remaster
of a Wii version of Super Monkey Ball. Now, Super Monkey Ball has a particularly rabid following. It's got its niche audience, and when it was revealed to be a remake of this 2006 Wii title, people seem to be a little bit deflated because apparently that one wasn't very good.
No,
Yeah,
it
people,
wasn't. There was
when they announced it, people were losing their shit. They were like, "Oh my god, new Super Monkey Ball!" And then when it was revealed that it was a remake of the lesser one, like you say, it just became very deflated. Just seemed to take the wind out of the sails.
because Banana Blitz was a launch title for the Wii, and basically it had a couple of problems with it. One of them was that there was a jump button, which, if you know your Monkey Ball, that changes the game completely in terms of how you can quickly traverse or quickly bypass parts of the courses. But the other big problem with Banana Blitz is the boss battles. They're pointless and frustrating, and yeah, I don't know why this one's been chosen for a remaster or remake or not.
Is it not a case of it's the easiest to port because it's on one of the newer consoles?
I don't know. To be honest, if you ask, like, because it was using the motion control, you would have
Yeah, I was going
thought.
to say the story here seems to suggest that part of the reason it wasn't well loved is because it was mandatory motion controls, which are obviously going to have to be
Yeah,
abandoned for this new version.
yeah.
At least they might be an option, but they can't be the only way to play. But I mean, it's coming out in well, I've just seen it. I think October in Japan. I don't know if it has a Western release date yet, but it's coming to Switch and PS4 in Japan. PC release in December. Um, and Sega have not come out and said necessarily when it's going to come out in the West, other than it's winter, apparently.
Maybe.
Winter doesn't say which year either.
I don't know why they didn't just bring out Super Monkey Ball 1 or 2 or both of them
Or
in a
make a
collection.
new one if it's got that
Yeah.
rabid of fan base. Like, yeah, it just seems weird if I'm honest. So speaking of games with niche audiences, Monster Hunter, I've had a bit of an announcement. Maybe not so niche anymore. Actually, World has been a huge hit. It's Capcom's, is it fastest or best-selling game of all time?
I imagine it's best selling at this point.
And the Monster Hunter team have just announced that they have shipped 13 million units of Monster Hunter
That's
World.
crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah.
It warms my heart as a long-term Monster Hunter fan. It really is fucking great to see. Like maybe
You're not one of
long-term.
these people that's filthy casuals ruining my game. You're one of the purists, the dedicated hardcore fans.
Well, I mean, like I say, long-term Monster Hunter fan. I played the original when it came out on the original PSP version, and it just went over my head. I didn't get it. Many years later, tried 4 Ultimate when it came out. What we're talking about 5 years ago, I'm going to say now. and fell in love with it. Played about 360 hours of that. Played Generations, which was also a 3DS game. When they announced Generations Ultimate, or Double Cross Ultimate as it was in Japan, that was coming out on the Switch. I'd already had my Switch, but my wife actually bought a Switch just to play that when it came out. Then they said, "Oh, we're not bringing it to the West. It's a Japanese only game." That deflated that a little bit. But then they announced World, which was like, "Oh, well, at least we're getting like a modern version of Monster Hunter on the PS4." And then we bought that, played it for 200 hours or so, and then they announced Generations Ultimate. It was indeed getting localized for the Switch, so I've bought that since. So I've probably played Monster Hunter more than any other franchise in the last 5 years. I've probably got about 1,000 hours in it overall. So like, I'm not necessarily a long-term fan. I'm half a decade in of like a 15 or 20-year franchise at this point. But I'm certainly a fairly serious fan of the franchise.
Hell yeah, if you got 1,000 hours in over all those games, yeah.
Was World released on PC? Monster Hunter World.
It was,
Yes, it
yeah.
has.
So World's
Right, 'cause-
still months behind the console. I get the impression I don't play it on PC. My PC is not going to be able to play that game any better than my PS4. Probably worse, in fact. So, but I always get the impression it's well behind. So that while it's now been patched enough that it's actually a pretty good version, it's still behind in terms of content release. And that will continue with the release of Iceborne, the expansion pack, in September.
Yeah, because all this content was supposed to drip feeding at the same rate as they did on the console. They can't just say, "Oh, here's everything all at once." It wouldn't make sense. So, yeah. I suppose it's going to be 6 months to a year afterwards before they get it on PC.
Yeah, so Iceborne, so it was 9 months behind to get it for PC. I think Iceborne's going to be about 6 to 9 months behind on PC as well. And Iceborne's out in September 9th, I'm going to say. So I'm probably going to take the week off work just to hammer that. But yeah, the Monster Hunter team have announced 30 million units shipped. And to celebrate it, they're giving away a special pack of goodies if you log into World between the 25th of July and the 29th of August. And there's a lot of decent stuff there. There's gold tickets, silver eggs to sell for money, things like that. But probably the most interesting thing is they're giving away an attack jewel. Now, I know you played a lot of World as well, Cash. And attack jewels were both sought after and incredibly rare. So to give one for free is fucking. I'm going to log in just to get that, because 200 hours in World and I've netted one attack jewel. Like, that's crazy.
I when you said they're releasing it, I thought it was cosmetic item. I never had heard of it, and so if it's a freebie and it's a rare freebie, then yeah, hell yeah. I think the last time I logged in was for the Witcher content, so that was many months ago. So it might be worth just to get it and then get myself ready with all the armor spheres and stuff for new content.
Yeah, and Iceborne shaping up to be really good. So like a lot of people have kind of seem to have soured on World in the Monster Hunter hardcore community. Like a bit like you said before, Cash, like filthy casuals ruining my franchise. A lot of people seem to have gone back to the old style games with the release of Generations Ultimate on the Switch, because there's like 100 monsters in that game or something akin to that, 80 to 100 monsters, whereas in World there's about 25 to 30. And people seem to be just like poo-pooing World a little bit, like, oh, there's no variety. And I'm kind of like, well, yeah, guys, because Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, it's like the 7th or 10th game in that engine that had like 15 years to build up the roster.
It's essentially the anthology version, so you've got everything all at once.
World.
It seems silly. It's not just a straight, like you say, it's not just a straight port of the models from one engine to the next engine. There's work to kind of bring up to the level of detail that's there.
And I think World was quite bold in that it didn't just fucking give us HD versions of all the old monsters. Like, most of the monsters in that game are new, and the ones that are recreated are very faithful. They feel like they used to, just with modern, like, slicker twists to them, slicker presentation, more nuanced behaviors. And Iceborne seems to be continuing that trend. They've continued to announce a lot of fan favorite monsters coming back. They're doing a really good campaign, and I might have mentioned this on another podcast, where they're releasing a trailer that shows off some of Iceborne, and then they're teasing and returning monster at the end of it. Then the next trailer will be about that monster with another tease at the end. So we're gradually getting more and more. So I think when I did last talk about this, I think I mentioned that they teased a monster called Glavenus, who is the signature monster from Generations. He's effectively a fire-breathing T-Rex with a sword for a tail. He's really fucking cool.
I saw that trailer where he sharpens his tail up and makes a little.
Yep. He grinds it on his teeth to sharpen it, and it just goes molten, and he flings it at you. He's a fucking cool monster, and he has cool armor and cool weapons. I'm really looking forward to fighting him. But at the end of his trailer, it teased, it showed you Uragan, who's the big stone T-Rex thing in world, kind of lumbering towards the hunter, covered in like green goo, and then it explodes, and then the trailer cuts, and that is a signature attack of a monster called Brachiodos, which is basically a giant kind of like armor-plated goo monster. It's a weird fucking monster. It's blue, armor plated. It's got like weird fists that it punches things and hits things and leaves a goo on it, and the goo explodes over time. So it's basically like explosive slime dinosaur, and it's again a fan favorite, and that's coming back. And again, it's another signature monster, and it lends weight to the theory that Iceborne is going to bring all the old signature monsters into the world, which is fucking dream come true. So it's out in kind of a month and a bit. So that's coming, and the Capcom team seem to be really kind of hitting the stride. 13 million units sold, even at this stage, is crazy. That's only going to go up with Iceborne, and it's great news because Monster Hunter is a niche franchise, but I fucking love it. And nothing really compares to it. There's a few monster hunting franchises out there now, like God Eater.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one, the free one.
Dauntless has come out now, but none of them do it for me like Monster Hunter does. So it's good to see that still kind of the king. Yeah. So talking about a game that everybody's playing to a game that nobody is playing, Anthem is looking like things are stirring in Anthem, which is unusual. I'm surprised there's anybody that noticed left. Now, I bought Anthem upon release, forced myself through the campaign. It wasn't a good experience. I don't think either of you have played it.
Nope.
No.
You didn't miss anything. It's one thing.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, it's one thing for Anthem to be a bad game, but when you think of the legacy of BioWare and this is what they've become, it is truly a tragedy. But what's stirring is basically they when the game came out, they had a roadmap of content. The game was so busted that they basically scrapped that roadmap and are only just starting to roll some bits and pieces out. So one of the big world events they teased was something called the Cataclysm, which was going to be a big world event. Everyone had to pull together to fight monsters in a big storm and all the rest of it. It was pushed, has been on the test realms for fucking months now. Really underwhelming. Nobody knew when it was going to get put in live. It kind of feels like BioWare have maybe given up on the game or put it on a skeleton crew and not going to develop it further. But like it feels like things are maybe stirring in live at this point. So people have noticed weird changes in some of the skyboxes in the open world, suggesting a coming storm. And then my favorite part of the story is on Monday, one player discovered a countdown timer in the game. And he found that it said 7 days and 17 hours until the oncoming storm was approaching or would be here. So basically, like, oh shit, they're putting the Cataclysm in live. It's coming in like a week. So this got out through the normal channels, through Twitter, through Reddit, all the rest of it. And a community manager at BioWare had to come out on Twitter and say, sorry, guys, this has gone live too early. We're going to take it out. Don't worry about it. Stay tuned for updates. And then things went silent again. So,
oh dear.
This just seems to be another blunder in the story that is Anthem. Yeah, the whole thing, it's fucking tragedy. It's really, really bad. It's a game that's been mismanaged from top down. It just feels fucked. And I'm pretty open to just getting rid of games and trading them in if I'm not going to play them again. I held on to Anthem because I was like, you know what? Destiny had a ropey start, and then the Taken King came out, and that was fucking awesome. Maybe Anthem will have that.
You think after a while they pick up their pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and make a good game out of it. But it doesn't seem like it's had that, I guess, resurrection.
I don't think it will either at this point. I feel
Didn't
like
Anthem come out just around the time that Apex Legends appeared out of nowhere and took over everything?
Yep. Apex Legends came out a few weeks before, and I think it distracted everybody. like loads of people were saying, like, why are EA launching Apex Legends now when Anthem's coming out in a few weeks? It's going to just like detract from it. And now we realize, oh, it was going to detract
Yep,
from
there
it.
we go.
Yeah, Anthem's not good. And the frustrating thing is, like, I played it with friends. It's a bit like the Division, like we were saying before, Cash, where with friends it's a lot better. When the game was in full swing and you were fighting and all flying around in your suits with your powers and your abilities, the game could be fun. But it also did everything in its power to make sure you weren't having fun. It would make it difficult to group up. Load times were obscene and frequent. Disconnects were rampant. I mean, I'll tell you one thing that just rubbed me up the wrong way. Me and Kelly, my wife, were playing one of the final story missions, and it was quite lengthy. When you complete the mission, there's a fairly lengthy cutscene. We were halfway through the cutscene, and I get booted out. Can't connect back in. She finishes the cutscene, completes the mission. I log back in after that, and
To do it all
it
again.
says you didn't complete that mission, despite having done all the gameplay and was stuck in a cutscene that then disconnected me. I had to do it again, so we had to sit through this really boring, stilted mission that I could be wrong, but I think it glitched out on us the second time round, and we had to do it a third time.
Yeah, that would just kill your love for any of it. Absolutely, it would just drive you up the fucking wall.
Yeah, it's not good, man. It's just everything about it's fucked. So yeah, I just thought it's like almost a glimmer of hope. Is something happening? Is something happening? Oh, they
Nope.
fucked up the implementation.
Fuck
Jesus
you.
Christ. Yeah, it's sad. It definitely feels like it's not going to get better. It feels like they're going to quietly wind it down. They've got probably like 3 guys and a dog sitting patching it as best they can, but everyone else has been moved off to Dragon Quest 4.
Poor dog.
Dragon Age 4.
Dragon.
Jesus Christ, what would do? Dragon Age 11? Is that the last one that came out? Jesus Christ, I'm getting them mixed up. No, sorry, so they're making
Dragon Quest 11,
Age
yeah.
4. Yeah, is it a Square Enix game, Dragon Quest?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, they're up to 11, which has just come out now, and the main characters come to Smash Brothers, I think.
Or the Blue Blob.
Yeah, the slime would have been King Slime as a character would have been amazing. I think was he just called the hero of something? I don't know. I've never played Dragon Quest. I know a little bit. It doesn't feel like it's a franchise that ever really became popular in England.
It was very much along the lines of Monster Hunter, where or what Monster Hunter was, where in Japan it was the biggest thing going, and then just failed to really do much over here or in the West. So Monster Hunter's done it, so you never know.
Yeah, I mean, 11 was meant to be really good. A friend of mine recently played it, who's really into his JRPGs. So that's a caveat in itself. But he thought it was really good. He did genuinely enjoy it. But that's not a game that I've ever played, and I'm starting to realize that I enjoy JRPGs for about 25 hours and then stop playing them for no reason whatsoever. Get halfway through the story, start really getting my head around the mechanics, and then walk away.
Just when it's going to start getting good, that's it.
I've done that with Octopath Traveler last year. I've done that with Final Fantasy 12 this year, and I'm just going to stop buying them.
Learn from that mistake.
Yeah, so Anthem, something might be happening. Probably not enough to get me to play it again. They fucked up the implementation. Surprise, surprise. It just seems like a sad game. But it's nice to see.
It's disappointing.
Something.
I remember the reveal and kind of how promising it looked. And
well, yeah, if you
EA being EA, I just thought, yeah, I'll wait. I'll see what they say. And
I don't think this is a year. I honestly don't. People that jump on them and shit on them, and I'm sure they contribute to some of these situations, but I honestly feel like this is BioWare fucking up. What was BioWare's last game? Oh, it was Mass Effect Andromeda. Jesus Christ, I blocked it from my memory. It's too much.
It was a B team, though, to be fair.
Yeah, but the A team did Anthem, and it's even worse. Like it just feels like it's BioWare at this point. Like put it this way, they there's a lot of talk like, oh well, they force BioWare to use Frostbite, and yeah, there's probably a degree of that, but Respawn have said fuck Frostbite. We're using our adapted source engine for all our games, and isn't Jedi Fallen Order isn't that Unreal 4 rather than Frostbite?
I don't think it's Frostbite. I think you're right. I don't think it is.
So why can Respawn use what they want and BioWare can't. It seems to me that it's possibly EA offers incentives to use Frostbite, but it's not mandatory. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems weird that there's a rule for one and not the other if that's the case. But I honestly think it's BioWare. I think they've lost a lot of good people over the years. I think they, we had the articles from Kotaku in the wake of Anthem, and a lot of it seemed to hang on, the BioWare magic. It'll all come together in the end, and you can't rely on that as a fucking consistent way to build things. Because for as much as games are art, they are also very much a business-driven thing and a mechanically driven thing. You've got to approach these in constructive ways. It's worrying because, like, if you think a generation ago, Mass Effect, I think it's quite easy to argue Mass Effect was probably the best franchise of last generation.
It's up there.
Just how
it's sad to see how far they've fallen.
Yeah, going from that to Andromeda, then Anthem in the space of 2 games, it's fucking catastrophic.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to the point now where the next BioWare game, you'll be thinking, well, who gives a shit,
Yeah, I mean, I've never played a Dragon Age game, so the fact that they're jumping back into that doesn't get me excited anyway.
It's weird. I played Origins. I didn't get 2, and I played Inquisition, and then I played. I didn't finish Inquisition, and then there were other RPGs that came out, and Inquisition just felt really wooden and really stale. And
it did when I played that game. It felt very much like it felt. I suppose I think people do say it's a good game. Maybe it's underrated these days, but when I played it, it felt very much like aged.
I mean, it's meant to feel like an MMO without the the online part.
Yeah, apparently there was a lot of boring grinding in that game.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just sad. Possibly another. I mean, moving on to the next story, at least, possibly another developer that's maybe hitting a bit of a rut at the moment. Nowhere near the fucking bottomless pit that BioWare seems to be in at the moment. But Blizzard haven't had a great time of it lately. They seem to be in a bit of a period of stagnation. Obviously, they had the whole debacle that was BlizzCon last year with Diablo Immortal being probably a bit of a blundered announcement. StarCraft 2 doesn't seem to really be a thing anymore in terms of like a big strategy game. It's got its audience, but it's not like it's not setting the world alight. Here's the Storm seems to have pretty much died on its arse. Like they
took it out of kind of the esports focus.
Yeah, they seem to have put it into maintenance mode. Although from what I hear, the people that still play it actually seem to think that now that it hasn't got the esports attention on it, it's actually a more fun game. But yeah, Overwatch doesn't seem to be quite as shiny as it once was. I think it's got to a point where it's so meta driven that it alienates anybody who's not a dedicated player or a dedicated fan. I mean, I've played a shit ton of Overwatch, and I find it hard to jump back in, even as somebody who really likes it and tries to get back up to speed with it. But the reason I mentioned Blizzard anyway, and I suppose what else is Warcraft Battle for Azeroth? You talked about Shadowbringers earlier. It's the game of the fucking moment. A lot of that has probably got to do with the fact that Battle for Azeroth has basically reduced Warcraft to its lowest point ever. Nobody is enjoying that expansion pack, and I think people are jumping ship to Final Fantasy XIV as a result, if I'm honest. So I'd say Blizzard are in a bit of a rut. We talked about how good Diablo 3 is, but there's no sign of a new Diablo, or at least not a mainline one, although I believe it is in development from what the rumors are, but they haven't announced anything. And who's to say that's going to be as good as Diablo 3 is now when Diablo 3 launched in such a mediocre state?
It didn't really pick up until the DLC. Reapers of Souls.
Really. Exactly. And Reaper of Souls is really, really fucking good.
Yeah, I think we're all unanimous in how great Diablo 3 is with the extra content and the difference in the mechanic and gameplay now.
Wasn't the rumors a little while back that they were maybe working on a remake of Diablo 2?
I think there's been rumors. Nothing's ever come of it. I mean, they've got a Blizzard Classic team now who do various things, so maybe we will see that. But it seems weird that they'd announced Diablo Immortal. Diablo 4 is almost guaranteed to be in the works, and then Diablo 2 remastered.
Maybe they do both at the same time. Maybe it's to say, well, Diablo 2 remastered's coming out, very soon, and then we are working on Diablo 4. It'll be out in,
Yeah, very possibly,
something,
Matty.
sometime.
Thing is, here's the thing. I think Blizzard are kind of for years. Blizzard have always been kind of like, look, guys, you're saying you want these old games remade, remastered. Look, trust us, you don't. Like you got
Mm.
Warcraft Classic coming this summer. It's out in a few weeks actually. Now the early buzz around that is, oh shit, yeah, Vanilla Warcraft was pretty rough in a lot of
It's
respects.
15 years old at this point, yeah.
Maybe we don't want it. So I'm wondering if that's not going to be the hit or the special kind of trip down nostalgia lane that people wanted it to be. And maybe that'll get Blizzard to
Yeah,
reassess
I
whether
think
they
so.
want to remake stuff.
I think it's interesting when they try and kind of relive the glory days, the wonder days. It's never going to be the same because the part that made it was where you were in your life, and most people are going to be changed now after 50, 20 years. And then
Yeah,
the
and
people you
also,
play with, and there's no way you're going to play with those same people again. Absolutely everyone.
yeah, when when World of Warcraft came out as well, the MMOs were in a completely different place.
Yeah.
There was a before and after with MMOs when with Warcraft being released.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, the reason I'm mentioning Blizzard is they announced the story actually today, not long before we came on to record, about Overwatch. I really like Overwatch. I just find it a hard game to enjoy. It's so competitive focused that I find it really hard to play with randoms and get enjoyment out of it, just because there's a lot of people who just don't play to a good composition, don't play to objectives, and it's very frustrating because, as I say, it's a game that's just so honed on that kind of aspect of competitive play that if you stray
Yeah.
from it, it's going to be a bad time. But there's something getting introduced to I was going to say to Warcraft there, to Overwatch, that might actually fix this problem or go a long way to introducing it. So they're going to introduce role queues. So you'll now be able to select what role you want to play and then queue as it. So that's tank, damage dealer, and support. It's going to be put across quick play and competitive play. And it's basically going to force a 2-2-2 composition. So you're no longer going to have like the triple tank meta that's unkillable, or you're going to have like a fucking Widowmaker sniper, a fucking Hanzo sniper, and a Genji flanker as your main team. You know, it's basically gonna force a little bit more consistency in your configuration, your composition in your team, which from the off is going to make it a little bit nicer to play, I think.
I think so. I think it depends. Well, I suppose it doesn't depend, but if people are always going to play DPS, then they're going to have maybe a longer between games, whereas someone who kind of likes to play support or likes to play as a tank will probably get into a game very quickly. So
Yeah, I mean,
it's good. It's good. I mean, like you say,
harkening-
it's squad based. You need to have tactics, and they should kind of put people more focused onto that rather than just playing their favorite character and hoping for the best.
Yeah, I mean, harkening back to Final Fantasy 14, that's exactly what happens with that. You queue as a specific role, and DBS generally have horrendous queue times. You're talking 20 minutes plus. I play tanks mainly. Literally, they have 30 minutes, 20 minutes. I have 20 seconds.
Yeah, I remember Warcraft when they introduced it. I'd play tank or I'd play healer, and it'd just be a snap of your fingers and I'd be in. Whereas if I played as a rogue or the DPS, I'd be waiting for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Crazy, absolutely crazy.
I mean, it's cool. I like this change. So basically, there's different queues. You will be offered incentives to play roles that are not well populated. So, like if support is low on population, they'll offer you a free loot box for just playing support, queuing as a support. You have different rankings, both MMRs and matchmaking ranks under the hood, as well as seasonal ranks and skill ranks. In competitive mode, so like you could be like a grandmaster tank and a bronze damage dealer, and it would reflect that now, which I quite like. It just feels better. So they introduced the party finder not long ago, where you could basically pre-make groups in like a server listing style way, and that helped, but it meant you had to talk to people, which isn't what I want to do. So this is one step further. I will probably go and check this out at some point, and then still get frustrated and leave, but at least it's a step in the right direction for me. And maybe this will get people back into Overwatch. Say it seems like it's stagnating a little bit, but maybe this will get...
I wonder how much of an impact, again, I repeat myself, Apex Legends had on that. Because I felt like Apex Legends was what I wanted Overwatch to be, in a way.
I would probably say just the battle royale genre probably took away from Overwatch.
Yeah.
Overwatch came out at a time where hero shooters were the flavor of the month for like a 6-month period, and then battle royales came big, and Fortnite sustained them.
I felt like with Overwatch, like because it was so team focused that you were saying you had to speak to people and whatnot. That was a problem that Apex Legends didn't have, with what they introduced in terms of communicating, where to go.
The
and
thing is,
stuff.
I'd say it's very different though, because Apex Legends,
It's very different.
Your
Yeah,
characters
it is
only
very
matter to a
different.
point, whereas
Yeah.
I always think the best Avengers game we could get is pretty much Overwatch. Like when you are in full swing with your team unleashing your powers, it feels like you're in the fucking Avengers.
Yeah.
Whereas Apex is, it's effectively Call of Duty with a few fucking special abilities.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
abilities they very rarely make or break a game, and they never, not one of them seems over powerful or over kind of used. I mean, some classes are we use more than others, Wraith, but it never kind of seems unnecessarily so. And you don't kind of think, oh, that team's got a Wraith, we're definitely going to lose this. It's always very much on the individual players' abilities.
Yeah.
It just all it adds
Yeah.
is just a little spice, little flavor. It's fine.
But I mean, what I found interesting. So this is coming in September for the general populace. However, next Thursday, the 25th of July, a stage 4 of the current Overwatch League is starting, and they're going to force this in there. So they're forcing a 2-2-2 composition on the Pro League ahead of time, effectively. So I thought that was interesting. A lot of people seem to complain about Overwatch League and the Overwatch esports thing, and I don't watch a lot of esports at all, but that's probably one of the few things that I have spent any time at all watching. And maybe it's because I was an avid Overwatch player at one time, so I follow it a little bit better, but it's not bad. It's for as far as those things are watchable, it is one of my more preferred titles. But yeah, I just thought it was worth mentioning. It might be worth getting into it again. So yeah, Overwatch. Hopefully, it'll shake it up, bring it back into the fore. But those battle royale games. Must admit,
I've still got my Overwatch coin in about 2 meters away from me. That I got
I'm just looking on the shelf behind me. I've got mine as well.
And I've also got the Destiny 2 fridge magnet as well that I got.
Jesus, I didn't even know that existed.
Even better than that, I have over here, I have a Diablo 3 notebook. That is just a notebook with Diablo 3 written on it and then blank pages, which,
Nice. You got to take that into
Which is
work.
pretty much how the game was before Reaper of Souls, really.
I like that. I like that.
I had one more news story, but I'll be honest. I'm just, we've been here a long time now. It's getting on. I don't know if we want to talk about it. We seemed torn on it before we start recording, whether we even wanted to address this, but it's the whole gamer girl bathwater saga.
Well, the only thing we were saying and we can say is that we're getting old because we don't understand any of this. The appeal of it.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think what it's like to be a horny little thirsty teenager that's got way too much access to money and very little sense. Young, dumb, full of cum. That's pretty much what it is.
Those were
Well,
the
it's
days.
it's not even just that. It's the reaction to it and then all the bullshit that's happened.
But these are literal neckbeards we're talking about.
Yeah, they really are. So okay, just to set the scene. So there's been a lot of God, I don't know, chatter, bullshit around a one Bella Delphine, who is effectively a I don't know, a fucking Instagram thought. Is that what the kids say these days?
I've heard that
streamer.
before.
A titty streamer, okay. So she's a young girl who dresses like, she's basically a real life anime character, sits in bikinis and does bullshit. She did a whole thing. She's a bit of a troll. Like all play to her. She basically earns more money than probably the three of us combined off just being a pretty troll. She did a whole thing the other week where she shared a picture or something and said, if this gets like 1 million likes, I will open a Pornhub account. She opened a Pornhub account, and she's got videos of like me stroking a massive cock, and it's her sitting with a chicken and just trolling everybody. And now her latest thing is she's instigated like a buy my bathwater thing. You can spend $30 for a jar of a bathwater. And like this whole fucking weird thing, she's like advertising as gamer girl bathwater. Like, so here's the thing, right? Oh, God damn, I'm so old. I wish I'd never brought this up now.
Here we go.
So she's an Instagram influencer who basically sits in a lingerie and poses, and she streams on Twitch. Then, Cash, you seem to know more about that side of it than I do.
Well, thanks for involving me in this. Yeah, so I'm sure she streams on Twitch, and she'll have donations coming in, and people getting her to do requests on games and various other things. And they must have come along to a point where someone suggested it, or she suggested it, and then so actually, this is not a bad idea. I'm not really losing anything. I'm gonna lose this bathwater anyway. Let's just see what I can get for it. And Twitch being Twitch, and so her audience being her audience, seemed to have lapped it up for the sake of
Yeah, it's weird. So like basically this whole thing, so all the bathwater sold out in 2 days, apparently. And
But,
but
but,
loads
but can't she have more baths?
no, that's it.
No,
Oh no, she's a gamer. You only bath once a year. What the fuck are you, casual?
Jeez. This is why you haven't finished Odyssey, Maddie. Too many fucking baths.
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
You need to
know
get
those baths,
grinded.
I need to play Assassin's Creed in the bath.
Oh dear. Oh, what's the story unleashed? Yeah, so it's just a little of drama. You had somebody pretending to be a fucking Daily Mail reporter who was claimed that a bathwater was giving people herpes. I'm not a doctor, but I'm not sure that's even how it works.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. But hey, if you've never had sex in your life, you'll never know.
Well, yeah. Or a bath, apparently. There's also somebody else popped up to say he was a molecular biologist who claimed that he's done tests on this bathwater and it included no human DNA, so it was fake. And it was basically a whole thing to say, like, basically she's selling bathwater as her bathwater. It's not a bathwater because there's no DNA in it. Let's do a class action lawsuit against her. And basically
Americans.
she's posted a whole thing basically going, oh, this is like, this is all fake. I don't have STDs. What else? And people can't be claiming this shit because I haven't actually shipped it yet. And, it's just a whole drama. It's embarrassing, really. I mean, PewDiePie even got involved in this somehow. I don't know how. I don't think I want to know. It's.
Just honestly, I
Yeah,
have no idea.
before we just old and we just.
I didn't think I was, but apparently I am.
Yeah, this is just.
Let's just stick to our fifth
We're
place.
just not in with the
Apex.
cool kids anymore. That the thought of drinking bathwater disgusts me, and I guess that makes me uncool.
It's what people are doing, though. Like, I thought the whole point was you just like wank into it or something. I thought that's what people would be doing.
Well, they
No,
would
that's what
be
we did back
DNA
in the
then, anyway,
day.
so clearly
Yeah.
they do that test.
And then drinking it. Oh God, yeah, great. Yeah, so I mean, this is just something that seems to have popped up on a lot of fucking feeds and Reddit threads and all sorts of bullshit. I didn't even know who this girl was until about 3 weeks ago. I mean, this is how fucking out of touch I am. I'm on Kotaku for the article here, and this is literally filed to the category of influencers.
Yep.
That does not please me. Yeah, so there we go, eh? Fantastic. So yeah, more Instagram influencer news next week because obviously we're
Delightful
very
note to end on, I guess.
well versed in that, apparently. Yeah, so that's me. It's it's summer. It was probably the worst time for us to start doing podcasts because it is slow news day. It's even slow like releases as well. I'm like between. I'm glad I've got fucking Shadowbringers to plow through and Mario Maker to eat up my in between time as well because there ain't a lot coming out. Was it like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3's out in a few days, weeks?
Reviews
I can't
dropped
believe
for
that's
that
a
tonight.
Nintendo exclusive. I love the first.
What were you saying, Maddie?
The reviews dropped for that game tonight, like in about
Do
an hour.
they? Because I've been
Yeah.
hearing not great things about it. So, I mean, to be honest, I was kind of holding off buying Mario Maker until that came out, and the more I heard about it, the more I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna get Mario Maker." It's disappointing. I like you see, because you like the old ones. I never actually played them, but it's pretty much just back on the fucking the Diablo train. But it's pretty much just Diablo, isn't it?
Yeah. I wouldn't say there's much loot in there, but it's the gameplay is kind of very much Diablo. I just like the kind of the characters and the settings, and I thought it was really well good. You could kind of interact with powers, so you could kind of have Iron Man and Captain America, and you could the powers off Captain America's shield and stuff like that. It was really good, and some of the kind of the lore in there as well was very kind of comic, going back into kind of comic books and stuff, and the little niche universes and things. And there was Blade in one of them. I fucking love Blade. It was really cool.
Yeah,
and it was
Blade's one of the first Marvel heroes to have a really good film.
absolutely. So when I heard
That's showing our age as well. Being
when I heard Ultimate
optimistic
Three's
about
coming out, I
Blade.
thought great, and then I heard it was Nintendo exclusive, and I thought maybe not so great. And then, like you say, I've heard reviews and things. It doesn't sound to be fantastic, but I think it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe that's doing this, because they did it with the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise, which is another one that I really like and I really love. And I didn't get the latest one, which is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite,
which I heard was not good.
and it was terrible for one reason. Well, one of the biggest reasons was there was a lot of focus on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So historically, you had X-Men, Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm. You had fantastic. You don't have Fantastic Four. You had kind of other characters as well from the Marvel Universe, but because none of these are part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they were just taken out. They're just nowhere to be. And it just seemed like, because they're pushing the films that high, like it seemed to be kind of a top level Disney decision. Oh, if they're going to take our licenses, you need to push the films hard as fuck. We don't give a shit about anything else.
I mean, to be honest, you could say that about the comics. Like X-Men have really taken a back seat in recent years. However, expect that to change because now Disney owns Fox as well, and they've got all the licenses for the movies back.
Yeah, I would they do it justice.
I mean, let's face it, Fox have gone from great to shit over they're so inconsistent with their X-Men franchises in terms of films.
What was the last good one for you? The last one to me was Days of Future Past.
Yeah, Days of Future Past was solid. I didn't see Dark Phoenix. We booked tickets and then didn't go for some reason. But that wasn't meant to be great.
Wait, Days of Future Past. Which one was that? Was that the first?
The time traveling one with Wolverine.
The one with Wolverine, you know that one.
The time traveling one, I said. Fuck it hell.
Logan was really good, but it was very much a standalone thing.
Yeah. Logan didn't kind of follow universe. It was, like you say, its own little episode. But I really like Logan. Logan was
it's excellent. It's really, really good. So I expect X-Men to creep into things again. It's Comic-Con at the moment. There was a lot of rumors. I don't know whether it's actually been announced yet or anything like that. I don't know what the program for Comic-Con is, but there was rumors they were going to announce their slate of movies, like phase what are we on? 4?
4, 5, yeah.
4 and 5, like they did a few years ago. They released a slate. I mean, it changed dramatically over time, but we're kind of in the dark a little bit. We know there's like Doctor Strange 2, Spider-Man 3,
Black Panther 2.
Black Panther 2. There's a Black Widow movie apparently in the works.
Couldn't give a shit.
Yeah, that's a weird one. But so it'll be interesting to see what they've got on the slate. What would be really cool if they do announce that is if they just drop a little X-Men movie right at the end of that phase 4 or 5 or whatever we're up to. Because I must admit, after Endgame has finished, I've seen Captain Marvel, although that was out before Endgame, but Captain Marvel came out and I was very lukewarm to that. And Spider-Man Far From Home came out, and while I enjoyed it, it didn't really get me excited either. I think now that we're past Endgame and we're back to just kind of smaller scale, smaller scope things, I'm like, I'm really missing Thanos at this point. I need a good villain.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance. The reviews as we record this at 12 o'clock tonight. So.
Ooh, so we've got like an hour and a bit wait.
We can keep talking for an hour and a half if you like. Live world's first exclusive.
Just reiterating what other people are writing about it. All right, I'm out of news. It's getting late. You guys got anything you want to bring up?
No, that's it for me. Very slow week in the life of.
Yeah, same here.
All right, then we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening. You, as usual, you can get us on Twitter. You can email us at thepad@plasticmoon.net. You can download these podcasts on iTunes directly from our site. And I'll put a video copy of it up on our YouTube channel. So remember to subscribe, hit that bell, like us, whatever the kids say these days, do all that. And we'll
buy
see
our
you next week.
bathwater.
Yeah, that's right.